Money FM 89.3, the best of the afternoon update. The Afternoon Update with Lin Li Fu.
Money FM 89.3, you're listening to Industry Insight. Now, with digital payments rapidly evolving, businesses worldwide are racing to adapt. And with a news full of geopolitical tension, trade finance drama, shifting regulations, navigating uncertainty seems to be the new normal. However, businesses are soldiering on, and recently Stripe has expanded its collaboration with Tencent by introducing Weixin Pay or WeChat Pay to Stripe Terminal, enabling in-person transactions in 20 countries. And this is more than just a payment integration, as I understand. It's a move that touches retail, education, tourism, and cross-border trade. So what will this mean for businesses in Asia? And how are tariffs and U.S.-China tensions reshaping payment flows? Today, we're joined by Paul Harapin, Chief Revenue Officer at Stripe, to unpack the latest developments in payments as well as unified commerce. Paul, welcome. Great to have you on the show.
Welcome, Lynn. Thanks for having me again.
Now, let's start with a big announcement. Stripe is expanding its partnership with Tencent to enable in-person payments via your Stripe terminal. It's across 20 countries. What does this mean for global merchants?
We're incredibly excited about this partnership. We've been working with Tencent since 2017, so over 8 years. And this is just the next level of expansion of capability across the world. So we've together built a unified commerce experience for merchants and their customers. So what we're able to do now with Tencent is centralize payment data from all sales channel into one dashboard. So whether it's online purchase for a merchant, whether they've gone into a store, the merchant now gets a comprehensive view of payments data all across their business for a particular person. The other part that's important here is that it reflects our deep commitment to helping Chinese cross-border businesses access global markets. And whilst there's a lot of uncertainty related to tariffs at the moment, what this announcement does is give access to Chinese consumers in 20 countries around the world where they go into a store to purchase something and can use Weixin Pay. We also support Alipay and Union Pay as part of that China payment method portfolio.
Paul, I'm just wondering, what's the significance of launching it at this time?
Well, it's one of the things that, as we've announced our terminal products, is the demand from our customers has been, we have WeChat or Weixin Pay online. We now want to replicate that as part of the unified commerce experience. So we worked on this together. We've announced it to start in 20 countries and expect that that will expand over time. And if anybody has been to any of the Luckin coffee stores here in Singapore or in Malaysia, we've helped them expand into Singapore and Malaysia over the last couple of years. There's 100 stores, and you'll be able to now pre-order online or just pay in store with your Weixin Pay wallet as well. So we're really excited about innovation we're working on together.
Yes, it's an exciting development. Now, this rollout spans some of the world's largest consumer markets. So how does that play into current trends in unified commerce?
Look, I think it really adds to the trends that we're seeing. And if I touch on three of the key trends, particularly centered around Asia, there's three key ones. The first is real-time payments. The interesting thing is that our region here in APAC represents 4 of the top 5 global real-time payments in market by volume. So India, Thailand, South Korea, China. And overall, we processed in our region almost 200 billion in real-time payments in 23 and continuing to grow. There are some challenges on real-time in that each country is building their own method and then working bilaterally to try and connect those. So currently, you can go to India and use your Singapore Pay Now wallet to buy something in India, but Stripe's enabling that online for many merchants. The other part is the rise of AI. Everyone's talking about AI, and Stripe has been leveraging AI for many years around fraud. And with the fact that our customers processed over $1.4 trillion last year on Stripe, that gives us a unique insight into what's happening in the world of fraud and enables us to leverage AI and machine learning to protect our merchants in as near as real time as possible. The other thing that we're seeing with AI is how we can optimize the checkout experience. As you know, if there's friction when you're trying to check out, you may forget it and move. We're able to increase revenue uplift for merchants, which is really important, recover legitimate transactions, and just overall improve the experience. And then the third one that we're seeing a lot of growth and interest in is the deeper dive into stablecoin. We see Asia as the forefront here. In fact, we've seen it dubbed the CBDC capital of the planet. And we expect more developments all the time during this year. China is working with the Digital Yuan, expected to be fully operational sometime this year. In October, we announced the acquisition of a company called Bridge, which is the leading stablecoin provider globally. And where we see that playing is that a lot of our customers, be it local Singaporean, Chinese, others, who operate in many unstable markets, seeing the certainty of stablecoin as a really positive trend, but also even large companies just using stablecoin as a treasury management capability because it makes money movement cheaper, makes it faster, it's decentralized, open access, and gives certainty of revenue. So they're three of the key trends that we're seeing.
Paul, coming back to your Stripe's expanded collaboration with Tencent, you can now serve Chinese consumers, and it's going to be a seamless, localized experience, as I understand.
Yes.
What about from the consumer part of things? Do you cater especially for Chinese tourists or students abroad as well?
Yeah, well, already if you go and you might have a particular payment method or you just want to use your credit card anywhere in the world, that's all catered for. We just announced support of PayPay in Japan this week as well. And so what we're trying to do is really across the 60-plus countries that we support and over 100 payment methods is to make sure that wherever you go, you're able to transact with a Stripe merchant, and those merchants can cater to anyone visiting. In the case of travelling, either local Chinese who may live in another country or travelling customers, or anyone with a WeChat wallet. I also carry a WeChat wallet. I now can go in, and if I don't happen to have cash or a credit card, I can just transact with WeChat, a Weixin wallet, which is what everyone's used to in China in particular. So really trying to customize and localize so that there's a local experience, even if you're traveling outside of your core country.
Okay, what about things like compliance and security, which top factors consumers would think about as well?
Yeah, we have very strong compliance and regulatory program here, not just in terms of which merchants we onboard, but also, as I mentioned, with our management of fraud and risk. So our product radar, which looks across every transaction that happens on Stripe, is able to pick up trends really quickly. A simple example might be that someone's used a credit card in Singapore and 5 minutes later that credit card has shown up in China. That would automatically be picked up as a suspicious transaction and held at that point until there's some clarification, either with a phone text or something like that, or unapproved at any particular point in time. So the importance of managing fraud, risk, compliance is inherent to Stripe's DNA, and there's a huge amount of, I would call it unsexy work that no one ever sees, but that's all behind the scenes of making what seems very simple to tap your Weixin wallet or tap your credit card and walk out of the shop. It's actually an extremely complex global infrastructure that operates behind the scenes. But that's our job, is to make it all simple for our customers and our customers, the consumers.
Paul, speaking of complex, there's been growing geopolitical tension between the US and China. So how does that influence a partnership like this?
I don't think it has a direct impact on the partnership as quickly as possible. And so given those trade tensions and the fact that we recognise that tariffs in a fast-changing landscape create uncertainty for business, that challenge is what we're working with our customers on. And many of them are, what should we do in relation to US trade, but also which countries can we move to and how can Stripe help us move into the Middle East or more into Asia? into Europe and Latin America and so on like that. So as a company, we're deeply committed to helping all our cross-border businesses in the Asia-Pacific region across the globe. Is a positive thing for everybody. And so our customers are really just looking to us to navigate cross-border opportunities, whether they're in the US or whether they're in other countries as well. And this announcement really goes to building that, because outside the US, a lot of the countries are in Europe and Asia, and that cross-border trade is really important.
Okay, Paul, I know you mentioned a little bit about this earlier, but let's talk more about the macro trends shaping the global payment space this year.
Yeah, well, I think the macro trends, as I mentioned before, we're seeing real-time payments become super important. We're seeing the growth of cross-border trade as companies in many countries look to really pivot their business and look at market opportunities. Or as one customer said to me last week, we're already in Europe, but we're now going to triple down in Europe, which means move more marketing spend, move more design, more people into Europe so we can capture a broader opportunity over there. And that's, again, not just related to the China merchants, but it's across many merchants overall. And so, in terms of those trends, there's nothing changing there. The expansion of real-time and wallets is really important, and the leveraging of AI. One topic that is really driving change is agentic AI. So the ability for AI not just to give you simple answers as you interact, but actually to, for example, scope a purchase and actually make that purchase on behalf of the consumer, leveraging some of Stripe's technology of payments, issuing of virtual credit cards to make the transactions and making that a seamless experience. We're really at the beginning of that trend, but I think you'll see that accelerate dramatically over the next 12 months. So
Paul,
that in particular is an interesting trend.
Indeed. And final thought before we let you go, Paul. What advice would you give business leaders, payment leaders planning for international growth today?
I think the key thing is make sure you're partnering with the right partner. Stripe is one of them, obviously, and cross-border is a big part of what we do. But it's really understanding what markets are appropriate for you based on what your market segments are, who you're selling to. Are you an e-commerce company? Are you an AI company? Are you a B2B software company, etc.? And then which markets do you want to go after, and how do you enter that market in the right way? And Stripe really can help regardless of which country you want to go into with advice, regulatory compliance, being able to establish your trading capability, and all of the FX related to managing that. So there's a lot to figure, but this is what we do every day for millions of merchants. So Stripe's here to help, and regardless of where you wish to go to.
Paul, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insights with our listeners today. Paul Harapin, Chief Revenue Officer for Asia Pacific at global payment service provider Stripe. Paul, thank you.
Thank you very much, Lynn.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.